Hello and welcome to another edition of Mad Mondays with Patrick and Celeste.
Where our Mondays are so mad that we have to broadcast on Thursdays, except for today, we're broadcasting on Wednesdays.
So we didn't get a chance to record last week, that's unfortunately. Yeah, we had Anzac Day in the middle, so didn't find another time to record, but we're back on track now.
But
good to go.
We do have a reason for broadcasting this week instead of last week, with where South Australia are lucky enough to hold the EnergyAustralia National Swimming Championships at the moment.
That's right.
So we were there last night having a look at what was going on. So can you tell us a little bit about what we saw last night?
I sure can. There was quite a few races on. We were there for about 2 hours. It was very interesting. First time I've ever been to the swimming, so good to experience that, and got to see some past swimmers, which was exciting.
Yeah.
So the two probably main biggest races were the females 50 metre backstroke final, which was won by Emily Seebohm, and runner-up was Alicia Coots. And then the men's 100 metre freestyle final, which was won by James Magnuson, and runner-up Cameron McAvoy. So they were good, exciting, edge-of-your-seat races. And Emily Seebohm qualified for the 100 metre freestyle final after a swim-off, which doesn't happen very often, against Yolande Kukler. So that was exciting.
Yeah, something different. I've never seen a swim-off before. So just the two swimmers in the pool for the swim-off, which was interesting.
Good way to end the night.
And everyone down there to see James Magnuson race last night, and he didn't disappoint.
No.
Clocking the same time as he swam in London, so he's
looking good.
Yeah, looking
back
good.
To form.
So hopefully he can continue that good form into the World Championships in Barcelona and defend his World Championship title in the 100 metres.
So thanks to the Aquatic Centre for having us.
It was good
Lots of fun.
Yeah.
Move on to cricket.
Yes, cricket. We've had a bit of cricket news in the last couple of weeks. Obviously, with the Shield season finishing up, and a couple of months ago, it's everyone's sort of starting to finalise their lists for next season now, and also the Ashes coming up in June and July. So the Ashes squad was selected last week with a few surprise selections, I think. None more so probably than the selection of Brad Haddin as the new vice captain. Yes. Shane Watson saying that he'd step down and let Brad Haddin step up. So Brad Haddin's only played one test in the last 15 months, which makes him a surprise selection as vice captain. It almost means that he's got to be second picked behind Michael Clarke in the team for the Ashes, which is interesting. But
I obviously think he can step up. So
that's right. He hasn't been playing too badly in the Shield. He's been making runs for New South Wales, so good to see him get another crack. But it'll be interesting to see what that means for Matthew Wade now, whether he plays as just a specialist batsman or whether they pick him as the number one keeper. I'm not sure. So Cricket Australia made the call that Matthew Wade was going to be the number one keeper as of about a year ago now, and obviously now they've gone back on that a little bit. Matthew Wade hasn't been the cleanest with the gloves, but he hasn't played too badly. But it'll be interesting to see. So along with Clarke, Haddin and Wade, we've got Jackson Bird, Ed Cohen, James Faulkner, who gets his first crack at Baggy Green. Ryan Harris is back in the squad. Phil Hughes, Usman Khawaja, Nathan Lyon, James Pattinson, Chris Rogers, who's an interesting selection at 35 years of age. But Peter Siddle, Mitchell Stark, David Warner, and Shane Watson as well. So not a bad squad there. So Moses Henriquez, Glenn Maxwell, and Steve Smith all missing out from the tour of India, all being dropped, which is
something had to be changed.
Well, that's right. After 4-0 over there in India, it's probably, as you say, something needed to be changed. So, and also they announced the Australia A squad as well, with South Australian paceman Chad Sayers being awarded for his good form in the Shield season, being a selection in that squad. So, congratulations to him. And back to the Shield competition. There's been a bit of movement between the teams and a bit of delisting and stuff going on. So Nathan Lyon and Dan Christian have moved interstate from South Australia. So Nathan Lyon's heading to New South Wales and Dan Christian heading over to Victoria.
No.
Yeah.
Can't lose any good players.
I know. So it's a little bit sad to see those two go. But Dan Christian wasn't getting a game for the second half of this season anyway. And Nathan Lyon doesn't play much for state anymore with between his Australian duties and whatnot. So
good luck to them.
Yeah, good luck to them. But we've also picked up Victorian all-rounder Andrew McDonald, who's also played 4 tests for Australia, and young leg spinner Adam Zampa, who's supposed to be a fairly handy bowler. So it'll be good to see him develop down here in South Australia. And also, South Australia have also delisted Cullen Bailey, Jake Haberfield and James Smith, so a little bit unfortunate for Bales, who's a skipper down at Seahorse Land. So unfortunate for him, but I'm sure he'll
step up back at Seahorses.
That's right, it just means we've got him more of the time now. Yeah, that's it. And also, in other movement, left-arm spinner Clive Rose moved from Victoria to Tasmania, and Jason Fraser, who was a former Australian spinner and recently retired international cricketer Mike Hussey, both missed out on contracts for their states. So interesting calls there, but all. And overseas in the IPL, Chris Gale last week hit the fastest ever 100 in 2020 history, reaching 100 off just 30 balls. So absolutely smashed them. He eventually finished not out on 175 from 66 deliveries, hitting 17 sixes, which is the most ever in a T20 innings, and 13 fours. So he helped. Yeah, this guy was absolutely nuts, and he helped his side with the Royal Challengers Bangalore to post the highest ever T20 score of 263 off their 20 overs. So it wasn't fun for the Pune Warriors who they were playing. So Mitch Marsh, who's an Aussie here, was on the receiving end of some of Chris Gale's whirlwind bunning. So unfortunate
not
for that.
Not much you can change to fix that, I don't think.
Well, that's
probably
it.
Just on a good day and can't do anything.
That's exactly right. He's very hard to stop once he gets going, and just proved that in the innings. So, yeah. And moving on, you've got some tennis news?
Yes, I do. At the moment, there's a tournament in Portugal for men and women. David Ferrer and Stanislas Wawrinka are the top men's seeds and moved comfortably into the second round, with both having a bye. So, got a rest.
Cruisy.
Other players into the second round are Andrea Seppi, Tommy Robredo and Albert Ramos. So good luck to them. And on the women's side of the draw, Marion Bartoli and Dominik Sibulkova were the top seeds. Bartoli lost in 3 sets to Peng Shui, and Sibulkova won in 3 sets against Ursula Radwanska. Other players to make it through into the second round are Francesca Schiavone, Svetlana Kuznetsova and Elena Vesnina and Monica Niculescu, one of my faves.
Is Schiavone just coming off a tournament win in another tournament? I believe she just won another tournament somewhere.
Possibly Stuttgart?
Yes, that sounds great. Anyway, continue. Sorry.
There is also a men's tournament in Munich. The top seeds are Janko Tipsarevic and Marian Cilic. Aussie Marinko Matosevic is through to the second round, but unfortunately John Millman lost in the first round. So that's all the Aussie news. Yeah. Actually, we've got new coaches in Adelaide.
We do have new coaches. We've got Adelaide 36ers and Adelaide United both appointed their new coaches yesterday. So the 36ers appointed Joey Wright, who was the championship coach with the Brisbane Bullets back in 2006-07. And also was a former player at the Geelong Super Cats back in 1995, so a while ago. And the United appointed Josep Gombe. I hope I've said that right.
Bao, maybe?
Yeah, Gombau. So he's Spanish-born, and he used to be a youth coach at arguably the best soccer team in the world, FC Barcelona. So that'll be a handy pickup for United and the Reds. So hopefully he'll improve a little bit on the 36ers finish this year and move them up to bigger and better things next year.
Yes.
So, And now you've got some ice hockey. We're moving into to help out with some Adelaide Adrenaline stuff in the next couple of weeks. And
it's exciting.
You've got some ice hockey news for us?
Yeah, so Adelaide Adrenaline is Adelaide's ice hockey team. A few months ago when we were at Macca's, we had one of the players come for an interview. They are currently sitting 4th on the ladder after 1 win and 1 loss so far in the season, so only played 2 matches. and they take on Melbourne Ice in Melbourne next Saturday. So they got this weekend off, but back into it next week.
Good luck to the boys for that game.
Yes. Hopefully we get to do a few interviews and talk to the coach and everything, so that should be fun.
Yeah, that was a good interview we did the other week. It was very, very helpful, seeing that we didn't know much about ice hockey. So hopefully after the next well, that's it. Hopefully after the next couple of weeks we'll be all over it.
Yeah, we will. Oh, so we'll move on to footy.
Yes.
We've got some footy news.
Yeah, it's been a pretty big week in footy all over the place. We've had some bad news and some controversial news, and it's all been happening. So
where do we start?
Well, I think we'll start with the bad news first of all. Get that out of the way.
Yes.
Unfortunately,
I hate to say it.
Yes. Unfortunately for Crows fans, Tex Walker went down with a season-ending ACL injury on the weekend against Carlton.
Hate watching that replay.
No,
they keep showing it.
It looks horrible, doesn't it?
We know now.
It doesn't look good. So Tex Walker joined Alan Tuvey and Kepler Bradley with season-ending knee injuries, all from the weekend. So 3 blokes in the one weekend.
And it's up to about 14 of the season now.
Correct. 14 people have now out for the season with ACL injuries. So it's interesting.
It's horrible.
It's horrible. You don't like to see it. And the AFL has said they're going to try and do a report into knee injuries, but there's not much you can report about. It's just part of the game, and there's nothing you could have done to prevent Tex Walker's injury or kept the Bradleys or Alan Tuvey's, really.
Yeah.
Alan Tuvey just went to accelerate. Kepler Bradley had someone fall on his leg, and Tex just went to change direction. Yeah, just landed awkwardly and went to change direction. So there's not much you can do, really. So I don't think there's much point in writing a report. But oh well, good luck to Tex in his recovery, and it'll hurt the Crows a little bit now losing Kurt Tibbett and Tex Walker. But I'm sure the blokes like Tommy Lynch and Josh Jenkins will step up into those roles and fill the attack.
Just want to move back quickly to SANFL. There was a bit of controversy over the Anzac Day clash between. It's always the grand final from the year before replay, so it was Norwood and West. I happened to be there, and I didn't see it, but there was some contact at halftime between Nathan Bassett and West Adelaide player and the coach. So. And a Norwood player, sorry. The Norwood defender, Jace Bode, has been found guilty of striking the coach, Andy Collins, West Adelaide coach, and has been suspended for 3 games.
Oh, okay.
And his coach, obviously Nathan Bassett, was found guilty of hip and shouldering the West Adelaide coach as the pair walked up the race, and he's been fined $5,000.
Gee whiz. It's interesting. Yeah. It's interesting. Don't see that very often in the SANFL or even in AFL.
And Andy Collins was found guilty of swearing at Jace Bode and fined $2,000. So yeah, it was on the, obviously I was sitting on the other side of the ground, and there was all people, because as soon as the siren goes, everyone jumps the fence and starts kicking the balls. So I didn't see anything, but that's. Yeah, you don't hear of that very often. I saw some footage on the TV, and Nathan Bassett was running up to the coach. So, I don't know what that's really weird. But oh well, hopefully they don't do it again.
Yeah, well, that's right. It'd be interesting to see what it was about.
Yeah.
I don't, but I guess that's why in the AFL they have coaches running up and down different walkways, and
probably would happen more often.
Well, that's it. You wouldn't like to have that happen in the AFL.
No. So we'll talk about the results from last weekend.
Yeah.
So the annual Anzac Day clash was won by Essendon by 46 points in the end. So their dream run on the footy field continues. Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see whether any of this drug scandal affects them later on down the track when the results come out from the reviews and stuff, but we'll have to wait and see. Yes, doing well other than that. Correct. So St Kilda and Sydney played in Wellington, New Zealand for the first time ever, and happened to pull a crowd of over 30,000. It's almost more than a Port game, isn't it? Yeah, so yes, more than the average Port game, although maybe not now for the rest of the season. Right. Correct. And Sydney won? Sydney won, correct. Yeah. So good on them. Hopefully it happens more often. They seem to enjoy the footy over there. So
yeah, I think
they were pulling more crowds than their rugby matches.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
I think St Kilda are going to sign a deal at the end of the year to have 2 games a year in the next couple of years, so 2014 and 2015, to hold a couple of games each year over there in Wellington, so that'll be good for them.
Saving.
Yeah, that's right.
And on Friday night, Fremantle won by 1 point in a thriller against Richmond. There was also controversy over the incident where the ball hit the goal umpire before the post.
I swear that was going to be a goal. Yeah, watching that, it looked like it was going to be a goal, and everyone's been up in arms about it all over the weekend and at the start of this week.
Tough, but
it's hard.
I think that's what the score review, something like that is what the score review should be in place for. Why did they use it so many other times for something so less than that? I think, yeah. But,
exactly.
Oh well, in that high pressure stress situation, the umpire just did what he's been taught to do, and I think it must have just bounced the opposite way to what he was thinking.
Yeah.
But it may have hit the post anyway.
Well, that's right. You don't know. But Damien Harvey didn't seem too happy after the game. He seemed to think he'd crossed the line already.
Well,
he was fuming.
Yeah. So you would be. 1 point, you're going to try and pick everything.
Well, that's it. And, it'll be interesting to see the AFL. The AFL have been talking about there's these $10,000 cameras they can stick on the goalposts.
Yeah.
And so you can... So I think that would be very handy to have...
Most definitely.
Well, it's $10,000 to fork out for each ground to have a camera on the goalposts, and that way you can have...
they would make that one game.
Oh, easy. Like, you could just have... And that way the goal umpires could be out of the way and get all the easy ones, and then the ones that are tough in those kind of situations you'd be able to get well out of the way, and if you're unsure then you've got the cameras there to go back on. But
we'll have to wait and see.
That's right, exactly right. We move
on. Gold Coast recorded their highest ever score of 148 points against GWS, and managed to win by 44 points. So that I didn't get to see any of that, but I assume it was probably easy.
GWS made a good run towards the end of the second quarter, but Charlie Dixon led the way for Gold Coast with 6 goals, so he managed to keep Gold Coast ahead. So,
and the Crows got off to a shocking start against Carlton, which continued throughout the whole game, and Carlton won by 42 points.
They made a late surge. They came back. They were within 3 goals in the last quarter there. So they came back and... Was it, how much was it?
42? Or 32?
I think it might be 32, I think.
Sorry, typo. And I think every Adelaide supporter, as we were talking about before, is mourning the loss of Taylor Walker with his knee injury that has him out for the rest of the season. So as we were saying before, time for some other players to step up and show their worth in the team. That's
right. It's good for some of the younger blokes and the other people that are showing some good form in the SANFL to give them a crack at the spot. So,
Geelong defeated Western Bulldogs by 21 points, and that's probably a bit closer than most people expected.
Yeah, Geelong went goals in the last quarter.
Wow.
So Bulldogs obviously finished off well, kicked 3 goals to none in the last quarter, but Geelong was still far enough ahead to cruise through to the victory. So,
and the team of season 2013, Port Adelaide, came back from being 41 points down in the third quarter to win by 5 points against West Coast on Saturday night. Saturday night thriller. Good to see. That's what we want in football.
Exactly right. You had the 1 point game on Friday night and then 5 points on the Saturday night. So good to see Port getting a win for Kane Corns' 250th as well. So
I was working at the game and the atmosphere was insane. It was so good. Everyone's cheering, excited. Everyone around, there was heaps of people actually in my bar hanging around, and everyone was just having such a great time. It's really good to see. So hopefully they get their supporters up for the rest of the season. And
yeah, that's right.
Their next game is in 2 weeks' time at Amy Stadium. So if you're a Port supporter, I reckon get down there.
Yeah, that's right. Jump on the Port bandwagon.
As I am. Despite the match being almost goal for goal in the first quarter, Brisbane defeated the struggling Melbourne side by 28 points.
Yeah, that was a bit of a close game.
Yeah.
Well, Brisbane kicked away in the last quarter, but it was close.
Melbourne coming off a win, obviously, against GWS, but unfortunately couldn't back that up.
No.
So, hopefully they can get better.
Yeah, that's right. You'd like to see them improve a little bit.
And Hawthorn defeated Kangaroos by 3 points in a bit of a last quarter thriller.
It's a very close game. The ball finished in the Kangaroos forward 50 as well. I think it was about 15 metres out from their goal. So
scary stuff. Edge of your seat.
Yes, it was a pretty tight game. But unfortunately for Hawthorn, they lose Cyril Rioli for about 6 weeks or thereabouts. He pulled a hammy in the last quarter, unfortunately for them, after being best on ground for them.
Yeah.
So bad news for Hawthorn. Probably good news for the Crow supporters because they don't have to face Cyril this week. So
perfect timing, Cyril.
Yeah.
So speaking of that, this week, what have we got?
This week we begin on Friday night at Etihad Stadium with Collingwood taking on St Kilda. So I think Collingwood will get up in that one quite comfortably, I think. Then on Saturday afternoon at Etihad Stadium again, we have Essendon and GWS.
Oh, poor GWS.
I think Essendon will win that one by 100 plus, I reckon. They're in some good form at the moment. So then we have the Kangaroos and Port Adelaide down in Tasmania, which will be a very close game, I reckon.
I still reckon Port, though.
Yeah, tough call. I don't know. It's going to be close. I wouldn't be surprised if Kangaroos got up in that game. Down there, they play some good footy at the moment. They've been a little bit unlucky. Again, they got close against Hawthorn last week, as we just said, and they've been close to Geelong and Collingwood as well, so it'll be interesting to see that game. Then we've got the Crows versus Hawthorn down here in AAMI Stadium. As much as I'd like to say the Crows are going to win, I think.
Even with Cyril Rioli out, I don't think Crows will win.
Yeah.
Let's just hope it's nice weather.
That's right. It'll be a good game for you, though. It'll be interesting. First time these two teams have met since the prelim final last year, where the Crows went down by 5 points. So hopefully the Crows can get up and make amends for their 5 point loss from last year. Then we've got Richmond and Geelong at the MCG on Saturday night.
Ooh, tough.
I think Geelong will continue their unbeaten run, I think.
Yeah, but could be close. It'll be a good match.
It'll be very, very close, but I think, Geelong will be too good. Then we have Gold Coast and Fremantle at Magicon Stadium. Wow.
Ooh.
Fremantle nearly got beaten down there last year, and that was without Gary Ablett playing for Gold Coast, so could be a little bit closer than everyone thinks.
Yeah.
I think Fremantle will still get up, but it'll be a close game. Gold Coast have been playing some good footy this year, so good to see. Then on Sunday we've got Sydney and Brisbane at the SCG.
Sydney.
Yeah, I think Sydney quite comfortably there. Then we've got Carlton and Melbourne at the MCG.
Oh no.
Carlton. Yeah, Melbourne are going to struggle this year, I think. And then to finish off the round, we have West Coast and the Bulldogs over in Perth at Pattinson Stadium. I think West Coast will register a win there, I think.
Yeah, considering their form in the first half of the game on Saturday, I think they will...
Well, they would have had 2 wins in the last couple of weeks had they kicked straight.
Exactly.
They've been kicking absolutely atrociously in the last couple of weeks, so hopefully they can get down to train and get a good couple of goal kicking sessions in this week, and hopefully kick some goals rather than points this week. So from all reports, they played pretty well in the first half of Saturday's game, but just couldn't put Port away on the scoreboard, and in the end it came back to bite them. So I think West Coast will get on the board there against the Bulldogs, though, I think. So Bulldogs are struggling a little bit, and Ryan Griffin's a big out for them, who he injured his shoulder against the Crows a couple of weeks ago, so he leaves a bit of a hole in their midfield, but I guess they've still got blokes like Matthew Boyd and Adam Cooney running through there, so
we'll see.
But we'll see. It'll be a good round of footy, I think.
Yes. Also forgot to mention in the Fremantle game, a local South Aussie boy made his debut.
Yes.
Jack Hanna.
Yes, a Barossa boy from down your way.
And took quite a good mark in the last 2 minutes.
Match-saving game. Leo Barry-esque.
So good on him, and hopefully gets another gig this week.
Yeah, fingers crossed for the young lad. He looked like he handled himself all right. And
he's just as big as the rest of them.
Well, that's exactly right. And with no Aaron Sandlands and no Zach Clark at the moment, it makes it... he's the backup ruckman for Jonathan Griffin, so hopefully he gets another gig this week.
That's all we've got time for.
I think so. So thanks for listening. You've been listening to us through Spreaker and Ozsports Online, and you can like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter at MadMondays13.
Hopefully next week we'll be back to Thursdays on a regular routine, but it's just been a few things come up in the last few weeks, but we'll be here and talking sport. Yeah,
that's right. Wanted to make sure we brought you some of the swimming as well while it was here, so we thought we'd get onto you while it was fresh in our minds.
Exactly.
So again, thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you all next week.